Hello, Leo. What if I told you that the miracle you've been waiting for is already unfolding, and God has planned this moment just for you? If you're watching this right now, it's not an accident. This video was meant to find you, because something cosmic, something extraordinary, is aligning in your life, starting today. You might have been carrying a lot lately. The expectations, the leadership, the responsibility of holding others up when you can barely hold yourself. And yet, somehow, you still rise. You still shine. Because that's what a Leo does. But today isn't about being strong. It's about receiving. About allowing yourself to be seen, held, and guided, not by others, but by something greater. By the divine plan that has always had your name written in it. Here on Eternal Mindfulness, we believe in divine timing. We believe that everything unfolds the moment you are ready to receive it. So take this moment. Breathe. Let your guard down. You don't need to prove anything today. You just need to listen, because the universe is speaking, and it has something powerful to say to you. This horoscope is not just another weekly forecast. This is a soul-aligned transmission, a mirror for your inner world, and a lantern for your next step. Over the next few minutes, we'll journey together through the themes of your life that matter most right now: love, purpose, money, emotional healing, divine timing. But we'll explore them not as predictions, but as invitations. Invitations to step into the reality you know, deep down, was always yours. And I know, you might be feeling tired. You might be wondering, when is it my turn? You've been patient. You've worked hard. You've sacrificed more than people know. But Leo, what if this moment, right here, right now, was your confirmation that the wait is over? That the door you thought was locked, was never truly closed, just waiting for you to try the handle again? Let's walk through that door together. Go ahead and comment the angel number you feel connected to right now. Maybe it's 111, 888, 444, whatever number comes to your heart first. That number is more than digits. It's your energetic signature, your soul saying yes to what's next. And before we go any further, let me take a moment to express my deepest gratitude for your presence here. Every like, every comment, every subscriber, you are not just helping this channel grow, you're helping a spiritual family stay connected across time and space. Thank you for being a part of Eternal Mindfulness. It is your light, Leo, that fuels everything we do. And believe me, you'll want to stay with me until the very end of this reading, because what the universe is revealing today is nothing short of extraordinary. So tell me, my radiant Leo soul, what did the stars, or maybe even a whisper from your higher self, do to guide you here right now? Let's find out, together. What if the role you've been playing is no longer the one that serves the truth of who you are becoming? What if the mask you wear, even the strong, admirable one, is no longer yours to keep? This moment in your journey, dear Leo, asks a deeper question. Are you holding everything together because you believe it's your duty, or because you're afraid of what might fall apart if you let go? In astrology, Jupiter's influence in your long-term goals and responsibilities brings expansion, but it can also highlight the places where you've outgrown your own structure. You may have once stepped into this role, leader, provider, protector, with pride and certainty. But when Jupiter illuminates what no longer resonates with your truth, it can feel like walking in shoes a size too small. They once fit perfectly. But now? Every step is friction. This tension isn't failure. It's growth. It's the silent wisdom of your soul nudging you toward new terrain. Terrain you may not have dared to explore because your current path, though exhausting, has been familiar. There's a quiet exhaustion that can follow even the most successful people when they're living from habit rather than alignment. That fatigue isn't just physical, it's emotional, energetic, and spiritual. And right now, you might be feeling the weight of holding up too much that was never meant to be carried alone. The hanged man appears not to punish or judge, but to invite. He asks you to hang, pause, shift perspectives. To surrender not as a sign of defeat, but as a gateway to deeper truth. In that suspended space, clarity comes. In that stillness, vision unfolds. You don't need to have all the answers, but you do need to be willing to ask different questions. Instead of, how can I make this work? Maybe it's time to ask, is this even meant to keep working for me? And here's where the power of mindfulness and self-inquiry comes in. Sometimes, the most transformative action we can take is reflection. Sit down. Write out 3 things that have felt heavy for you lately. Not just in your schedule, but in your heart. What has been draining your fire? Then, ask yourself, what are 3 things you've longed to do, express, or create, but haven't given yourself permission to pursue? Don't censor. Don't overthink. Just write what rises. These answers won't magically solve everything. But they will reveal where your energy is leaking, and where your true joy is still waiting to be called forward. Often, we confuse endurance with strength. We believe that pushing through, holding it together, being the strong one, is the noble path. But true courage? Sometimes it looks like stepping away. Sometimes it looks like turning around and walking a new direction entirely. Not because you've failed, but because you've grown. This moment in your journey invites you to loosen your grip. To let go of the illusion that you must perform strength to be worthy of rest. That you must uphold outdated roles to be respected. There is no shame in changing direction, only deep, conscious bravery. There is wisdom in the pause. Power in the soft surrender. You are not abandoning your mission, you are redefining it, so it finally fits who you truly are now. And when you do, when you stop forcing what no longer fits, you make space. Space for clarity. For freedom. For a renewed connection with your purpose that no longer depletes you, but uplifts you. Like the breath that finally fills your lungs after holding it for too long, this is your invitation to release. To remember that what you carry does not define you. And that your worth is not measured by how much you hold up, but by how freely you let your light shine. Are you willing to loosen your grip today, Leo, even just a little? Because sometimes, letting go is exactly what helps you rise. When it comes to love, Leo, you tend to lead with your whole heart, open, bold, unafraid to show up fully for someone you care about. But lately, you may have noticed a soft ache underneath your passion. Perhaps there's been a subtle sense of disconnection, even within connection. Like you're speaking, but not being heard. Giving, but not always receiving. Loving, but somehow still feeling alone. And it's not because you aren't enough. It's because something inside you is shifting, quietly, deeply, and without force. The Star card appearing now brings a breath of fresh air to that emotional landscape. It's a gentle signal of healing, of quiet hope returning after a period of emotional depletion. It doesn't promise instant answers or perfect outcomes, but it does suggest that something has begun to soften inside you. A memory, perhaps, or a willingness to finally admit how much you've held in. This is not about blame or regret. This is about truth. The kind of truth that only surfaces when we stop performing strength and allow ourselves to just feel, honestly, without judgment. Often in love, we continue to hold on, not because the connection is still alive, but because the fear of letting go is too loud. The mind says, "What if I never find this again?" while the heart whispers, "But it doesn't feel like love anymore." In this space of emotional conflict, you may have mistaken endurance for loyalty. But the two are not always the same. Holding on too long can become a quiet form of self-abandonment. And sometimes, walking away is not the opposite of love. It's the deepest act of love you can offer yourself. When we don't feel emotionally safe, many of us learn to armor up, to stay silent, to avoid rocking the boat, to keep appearing strong. But Leo, your strength is not diminished by your vulnerability. In fact, your willingness to say, "This hurts," or "I miss you," or "I don't know what I want yet," is the very thing that brings you back into alignment with your heart's truth. You don't have to carry someone else's silence or unpredictability as your burden. You only need to return to your own clarity. If you're in a relationship now and noticing distance, ask yourself, is it pride that's built the wall between you, or protection? And do you still want to rebuild, not out of obligation, but out of desire? You're not here to fix anyone. You're here to meet someone heart to heart, in truth, in reciprocity. So ask gently, not what they need from you, but what you truly need from love. And if you're single, this moment is not a punishment. It's preparation. It's an invitation to clear the emotional residue left by past entanglements, stories that taught you how to chase, how to compromise too much, or how to disappear parts of yourself to be loved. Now is the time to retrieve those lost parts. To come home to your own heart before asking someone else to meet you there. Healing begins with clarity. And clarity often arrives in stillness, not the stillness of giving up, but the stillness of no longer forcing. Write the letter you never got to say. Let it pour out. Not to reopen wounds, but to drain what still lingers unspoken. This is how we release not just people, but versions of ourselves that no longer need to carry that story. Then place your hand over your heart and repeat, "I am worthy of a love that's gentle, deep, and real." That is not just an affirmation. That is a declaration, a calling forward of the kind of love that meets you as you are, not as you perform. Because love that is true doesn't ask you to shrink. It invites you to expand. And Leo, you were born to expand. The weight you've been carrying, Leo, may not always be visible to others, but you feel it in your body, in your breath, and in the quiet spaces between thoughts. It isn't just the long to-do list or the external demands pulling at your time. It's the deeper pressure to maintain a version of yourself that others have come to expect, the strong one, the capable one, the leader who never crumbles. But when your energy is constantly moving outward, toward appearances, obligations, or the unspoken need to hold everything together, you start to lose touch with the quiet inner current that sustains you. And no matter how radiant you are, even a lion must rest. Numerology highlights May 4th, 2025 as a day vibrating with the energy of the number 8, a symbol of power, resilience, and mastery over the material world. But in its shadow form, 8 warns us of imbalance, working too hard for validation, accumulating more than we need, or pushing ourselves beyond our natural rhythm in the name of achievement. When the 10 of Wands shows up alongside this, the message becomes even clearer. You may be carrying burdens that are no longer yours to hold. Responsibilities that once empowered you may now be draining you. And the need to prove your strength could be overshadowing your need to preserve it. Sometimes we confuse effort with effectiveness. But not all motion is progress. What if true power didn't come from doing more, but from doing what actually matters, with clarity, purpose, and peace? This is where your awareness becomes the most valuable currency you own. Take a step back and ask yourself, am I investing my energy into what truly supports my well-being, or am I spending it on keeping up with external expectations? The distinction matters. Because what we give our energy to, we become. One simple yet profound practice is to reconnect with your body as an ally, not a machine. If your shoulders are tight, your sleep is shallow, or your breath feels shallow, your body is speaking. It may be asking you to release the invisible backpack you've been carrying, the need to be in control, the guilt of saying no, or the habit of placing yourself last. Gentle stretches, mindful movement before bed, and nourishing supplements aren't just physical remedies. They are acts of kindness that tell your system, you are safe now. You can let go. The Emperor energy appearing in your career suggests that you're standing at a threshold, not just of leading others, but of leading yourself differently. Leadership isn't about dominance or perfection. It's about inner alignment. You can't truly manage a team, a project, or a vision if you haven't first managed your own inner landscape, your emotions, your boundaries, your rest cycles. This isn't a weakness, it's wisdom. It's the same principle that says you must sharpen your blade before going into battle, not to harm, but to serve. Take a moment to examine your finances too, not from a place of fear, but from curiosity. Are your spending patterns expressions of genuine need and joy, or attempts to feel enough in a world that measures worth by what we show? Do you invest in rest as much as you invest in results? Money, after all, is just energy in form. How we handle it reflects how we handle ourselves. Creating a simple budget this week, one that includes things that replenish you, is not just responsible. It's radical self-respect. You don't have to earn your right to ease, Leo. You don't have to overcompensate for your brilliance or sacrifice your health for success. When you shift from proving to grounding, you reclaim a kind of power that can't be measured by output. It's steady. It's wise. And it's yours, the moment you decide that being well is a goal worthy of your full attention. What if the breakthrough isn't hiding? What if it's been standing right in front of you, quietly waiting for you to put something down before it opens wide? That's the energy surrounding you today, Leo. You're not being tested, you're being invited. Invited to release the weight you've been carrying, not because it makes you weak, but because there's finally room for something better. But here's the truth, a closed heart can't walk through an open door. And even the most generous gift from life can go unnoticed when our vision is clouded by resentment, fear, or the need to be right. Right now, the cosmic alignment is urging you to stand at the threshold of a new beginning, one that feels more grounded, more real, and more in alignment with who you are becoming, not who you've had to be. The presence of the Death card in your reading doesn't speak of loss in the traditional sense. It speaks of liberation, the kind that comes when you stop clinging to something just because it's familiar. There are versions of you that you've outgrown, habits that once protected you but now limit you, and stories that no longer reflect your truth. This is your moment to step away from them with grace. Following it is the Ace of Pentacles, a card that signals tangible blessings, new seeds ready to be planted, and opportunities rooted in the physical world, career, money, relationships, health. But here's the catch: only the hands that are free can receive. If your grip is still locked on past pain, unmet expectations, or outdated dreams, you may not even notice the gift that's being offered. Life isn't withholding from you. It's just asking for a clear vessel to pour into. And this, Leo, is the sacred paradox: the more you let go, the more you're given. But surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means shifting your relationship with control. It means trusting that what is meant for you will never be taken, and what leaves is creating space for something greater. Imagine standing in front of a door. On the other side is the most radiant version of you, peaceful, empowered, and fully expressed. But the door won't respond to force. It opens with presence, with clarity, with readiness. You don't have to force yourself through. You only need to soften and allow. There's a saying that when the student is ready, the teaching appears. And readiness isn't about perfection, it's about willingness. Willingness to be honest with yourself about what still lingers. Willingness to forgive, not because others deserve it, but because you deserve freedom. Willingness to admit that sometimes the real prison isn't outside us, but within the walls we built to survive something long past. To meet this moment fully, you don't need a ritual bathed in incense and candlelight, although you could. All you need is one honest moment with yourself. A quiet breath. A journal. A piece of paper where you write down 5 things that no longer serve you: a fear, a habit, a wound, a name, a version of yourself. And when you're ready, truly ready, burn them. Or release them gently into flowing water. Not because it fixes everything instantly, but because it creates energetic space for the new to arrive. This is not magic in the mystical sense. This is the everyday magic of decision, the kind that rewrites futures in the quiet space of now. If you allow it, this can be your turning point. The sky is shifting. The earth beneath you is fertile. And somewhere in the rhythm of your breath, a new chapter is already beginning to form. You only need to believe that you're worthy of receiving it. Not someday, but now. Some days arrive quietly, without announcement, yet carry within them the power to realign everything. Today is one of those days, Leo. A day when connection, not the kind that flatters your image, but the kind that nourishes your spirit, becomes the bridge between where you've been and where you're meant to go. You've walked through so many phases of becoming, often carrying yourself with boldness even when you were barely holding it together. But the real gift now isn't more applause. It's deeper recognition, not from the crowd, but from the few who've seen you undone and chose to stay anyway. The energy of the 6 of Cups speaks to memory, to heart threads that never quite fray, even when time or distance stretches them. You may find yourself thinking of someone from your past, a friend, a mentor, a version of yourself you used to be. This isn't nostalgia for escape, it's remembrance with purpose. Often, healing arrives not by leaving the past behind, but by retrieving the pieces of ourselves we left there, learning from them, and choosing again. When this card appears, it's a subtle invitation to reach out. Not to fix or relive anything, but to honor it, to see how far you've come, and perhaps, to open a door that has long been waiting for you to knock. Alongside it, the King of Wands reminds you of who you are now, not the younger version still figuring things out, but the powerful presence you've grown into. And yet, true power isn't loud. It doesn't demand attention. It radiates, steady, confident, self-assured. It draws others in not by force, but by truth. This is your moment to integrate the wisdom of your past with the clarity of your present. You are no longer who you were, but everything you've walked through has shaped the kind of leadership you now embody. Lead not to be seen, but to light the way for others still finding the path. When you feel disconnected, it's easy to assume the world has turned away. But often, the disconnection begins when we turn away from ourselves. Today's energy invites reconnection, with others, yes, but first and foremost with your inner compass. Who do you feel safe with? Who listens not just to your words, but to your silences? That's where your energy belongs. Sometimes we confuse attention with affection, but Leo, what your heart truly craves is depth, not noise. Choose intimacy over popularity. Choose people who remember your spirit, not just your strength. If you feel ready, wear a little purple today, a color of awareness, of quiet strength, of dignity rooted in presence. It doesn't have to be grand. A scarf. A ring. Even the background on your phone. Let it be a private signal, a soft declaration to the universe that you're ready to return to what matters. That you're not chasing light, you're becoming it. Numbers hold their own resonance, and the appearance of 16 and 96 today carries messages of gentle transformation. One speaks of rebuilding from the inside out. The other whispers of necessary endings that make space for beginnings. Together, they form a cycle of renewal. And in that cycle, you are not losing anything essential, you're making room for everything real. So much of this journey has asked you to be fierce. But today, the universe asks something quieter: be open. Be still enough to recognize what's here. Be willing to receive, not because you've earned it, but because you've become available to it. This is how rebirth begins, not in thunder, but in the hush that comes after we finally stop running. Let yourself be seen. Let yourself be loved. Let yourself come home. Leo, you don't need to push harder to prove your worth, and you certainly don't need to earn what is already yours. You only need to allow. You've carried the heart of a warrior for so long, always strong, always rising, always showing up even when the fire inside was flickering. But today, just for a moment, what if you chose to live like someone who doesn't have to fight anymore? What if the most extraordinary thing you could do right now is to simply receive? The miracle that's approaching your life isn't waiting on your perfection, your performance, or your planning. It's waiting on your permission. It's standing just beyond the door, ready to enter the moment you decide you are worthy of it. But the door won't open by force. It opens when you trust that healing is more important than control. That peace is more precious than appearances. That choosing yourself is not selfish, it's sacred. Don't let your past pain be the reason you block your future joy. Don't let fear of being hurt again convince you to stay closed. Life doesn't repeat pain as punishment, it only repeats what hasn't been understood. And when you're ready to see the lesson, the pattern dissolves. The energy shifts. The chapter turns. And what you thought was an ending reveals itself as a new kind of beginning. If you've been abandoned, overlooked, betrayed, or told that you were too much, remember this: the universe never forgot you. The light that seemed dimmed was never gone. It was simply gathering itself, waiting for the moment you were ready to shine, not for others, but for yourself. You don't need to return to the world with an explanation. Just return with presence. With intention. With love, for who you've been, for who you're becoming. So right now, I invite you to speak your energy into motion. Go to the comments and share the angel number that has followed you lately. Maybe it's 111, maybe 777, maybe something only you understand. Then write an affirmation that anchors you in this moment. One that reminds you of your power, your peace, and your readiness. You might say, I choose to live aligned with my light. I allow miracles to flow freely into my life. I am the keeper of the key to my radiant life. Let these words be more than affirmations. Let them be choices. Let them be acts of self-respect. Because today, you're not waiting for someone to save you, you're recognizing that the door has been in your hands all along. Thank you for spending this moment with me. If something in this message lit a spark in your heart, even a small one, I hope you'll like, subscribe, and share this video. You're not alone in this. There is a whole community rising, quietly, powerfully, right alongside you. And here at Eternal Mindfulness, we are walking this path together, with courage, with softness, and with a knowing that something beautiful is just about to begin. Stay close, Leo. The next light from the universe is already on its way.